were okay. I don't know that they were great. That's definitely a slot I would try other things in, but they were like serviceable. So this is card for card, the blue-red tempo list that I played yesterday. We 4-1 with it. The one match we lost was a match I didn't play because they played turn 1 Slippery Bogle, and that matchup is basically unwinnable. So we'll see how it goes today. I would love to be on the play. Thank you for asking. This hand's a little bit loose, but I'm not one to pass up turn 1 Delver. One of our 5 lands attacks, so we've got that going for us. Yeah, we reanimated a Kenra once in 5 matches. How's it going, Taylor? Welcome to the party. Survey says... Womp womp. At least that's castable. We get to go like Delver Lavaman here. And then have a Lavaman activation next turn. A budget tempo list. What lands would you play instead of the 4 turns? I would play 3 more blue fetches, off-color blue fetches, and I would play another red fetch. Stream Decker. Oh yeah, update the Stream Decker. I must not have. Alright, Stream Decker's good to go. Thanks for the reminder. I want you to know that I was waiting for someone to try and bump over the blue-red deck. What's going on, Justin? This is my surprised face, Justin. For the record, I think this matchup's always been good for this kind of configuration of the deck. I've played iterations of this archetype for a long time in Modern. And I think this build is always, this style of build is like, God bless America. This is not a matchup where I can afford to miss on flipping Delvers, which really sucks. There's a deck list on your screen, Jace. If you're on mobile or don't have access to the Stream Decker widget for some reason, you can type !deck in chat. We even like kept a hand that just like had a bunch of non-Delver targets in it. God, for fuck's sake. Oh, that's incredibly frustrating. That deck's a different deck. Saying that this deck is like blue-red Delver with Gitaxian Probe is like saying every Ensnaring Bridge deck is Lantern. Yes, they both play Delver, but they're different decks. Alright. It's been like 4 hours since the Panera chat. It's time for a Fruit Notes cup. So they have a Rift Bolt on top. They have a Rift Bolt suspended. I think I just need to bottom this. It's a good draw. So, pretty confident. I want to point this here. How many Delvers do I want to leave back? I think it's just one. I think if they point Rift Bolt at Delver, that's good for me. I'm like dead to another burn spell regardless, right? Because if they have two, they just like dome me. I go Rift Bolt upstairs, burn spell upstairs. That was engaging. Someone asked what was the SCG Con meter for. So the SCG Con meter is to send me to SCG Con, which is where SCG has their invitationals now twice a year. I qualified for their next invitational when I top 8'd the last open. I would like everybody to take a moment. You can almost always tell when I've built a deck versus a viewer submitted deck list, because do you see how I cut a bunch of cards and brought in a bunch of cards and they lined up just perfectly? There's no, I don't really know what I want to cut. I think this card is good. Maybe this card is good. Nope, you just cut the cards that are kind of mediocre and you bring in 6 cards that are very reasonable. There's a sideboard guide linked on my website. There is a sideboard guide linked on my website. I know that it's big and scary that the deck list listed there has Vendilion Click in it and an extra land instead of Storm Chaser Mage, but I promise you, if you pull up your big kid pants and think about it, you're going to be able to translate what goes to what. No, I think Remand is very good. If you didn't have access to Remand, I would just put more Doomblades in the main deck. This hand's just, like, not good enough, right? This hand's really good. Ding. Block. Gut shot me. Come at me, bro. I would not cut Opt from this deck. Opt is really good. Any estimate on when this Saheeli will start? Probably somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes from now. It's about the average length of a league in my experience. Pathing my Grim Lavamancer. You bet. God bless. Negate's not a bad draw. I'm just going to snap Bolt now. This is the first match. This is game 2 of the first match. We are down a game currently. We kept a medium 5-lander in game 1 and then flooded and died. It's pretty unlikely that we get a bunch more decks that cut above 100. Alright, if anybody wants to cut Saheeli, you have to double it. We're only cutting Jeskai for $200, which definitely won't happen. Justin, that's not a challenge. I actually mean just don't cut in front. I know you're going to view that as a challenge, Justin, but I just don't do it. Soul-Scars replace 2 Vendilion clicks in the 22nd land. I think I just let this happen. I think if they go to kill another creature here, I'm going to negate it. Yeah. Get this one. Yeah, I updated the list on my website to this one that we're playing right now, card for card. Been pretty happy with it. They have lightning bolt here. I was literally switching my browser as you said that. If they have bolt here or path, I'm gonna be a little bit sad. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I have this Delver at least, I guess. I feel like I'm supposed to make them have that there. Could see that going either way, though. Running low on threats at this point. Sure. There haven't been mana leaks in this deck in a long time. If you want a long tenured history of what this deck has gone through, you should watch my leagues on YouTube because I archive everything there for your viewing pleasure. jeffhoagland.com/decklist. Search for Blue Red Tempo. You'll find a playlist of all my YouTube videos with this deck on there. I work very hard to make my information accessible on this channel. Please do me the courtesy of looking through the things that I've worked very hard to put together. We're supposed to activate Loot House to fill the graveyard. I don't think so. It's linked on the Blue-Red Tempo page, Justin. There's one of those, the text box has hyperlinks in it. If you're on mobile, it might be hard to see depending on what your mobile browser settings are. No, this is game 2 still. Well, it's looking like we're going to be heading to game 3 here soon. Look at how beautiful this curve is. And then, like, you consider that these are kind of 1-mana spells. Just like, oh, yeah. Delver me, baby. Delver me, baby. On the draw, it can be kind of tough. That being said, we have 8 1-mana Doomblades. So, definitely going to be looking for those in the opener. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out here, by the way. Almost 1,000 people here in chat. We're going to have a moment of possibly children and then muting. It sounds like Christy is home picking up the kids from daycare. I think I heard the garage door open. So I'll probably let Declan or Jake come say hello if they want to. But I might have to mute because kids are loud, believe it or not. Ugh. Hide my potato chips so they don't steal them. Playing a 3-mana blocker for Goblin Guide is just like far too slow and bad. Nimble Obstructionist kills them. In my experience, working, there's 4 Wizard Lightnings down here. I just was putting them in the 1-mana slot so I could look at the curve. If people, in general, undervalue killing their opponent in Modern. Just, like, seem to hate doing it for whatever reason. End the game. Kill your opponent. The best source of card advantage in Modern is killing your opponent before they can do anything. Kill them with cards in hand. Ayo! Thank you, Mr. Guide. I appreciate all your hard work. It's a little bit sad that this deck has, or that this hand has 3... fetches in it, because it does mean that we're basically starting at 17, but the spell composition in this hand is too good to mulligan. Idle on, bro. Idle on, Tid. This is kind of unfortunate because I have Wizard Lightning here, I have to take 4 to kill this Eidolon, which sucks. I didn't bolt after attacks because I had 9 cards in my hand because I'd already gotten a card from the Goblin Guide. So if I didn't bolt during my main phase, I would have had to discard the hand size. How dead's this Delver? Very dead. Alright. You got chicken nuggets? You got toy. Do you want to come say hi to the internet? You got a superhero toy. Can you come show the internet your superhero toy? Did you get a superhero toy too, Jake? That's pretty cool. Alright, you got to take your toys upstairs so you can eat your nuggets at the table. So what are the odds we die here? I feel like the odds are pretty low. I want to just, like, deploy both my threats, right?
Go upstairs, please.
I want to just deploy both my threats. I'm going to deploy both my threats. The internet decided that, or the kids decided that the internet didn't deserve to see their toy. And honestly, as someone who's been on the internet, I don't say I blame them. This feels bad. I think I just have to take this, though. I really need I really need a flip here. That's a good one. So, just attack for 3 here and then pass. I think it's attack for 3 and pass, right? Aren't we mega dead? They only have 2 cards in their hand. We're kinda dead. We're only mostly dead. Are we looting? No, certainly not. This is probably a Bolt plus Negate turn. Doke. Opt on top of my deck. Opt means I probably want to kill the Eidolon, right? So I'm going to move to blocks here. Block Goblin Guide. Bolt the Eidolon. So I'm going to 7 here. I'm going to 6. I'm going to 5. Boros Charm is lethal or no? I don't think so. Helix, sure. Alright, so I go to 5. I want to draw Opt here. I think Opt is better than a random on average. I guess there's merit to waiting on this if I hit, if I want to block here, potentially. Probably want to block here, right? Yeah, I guess I should have held the Opt. Although I wouldn't have the Mountain to play if I didn't play the Opt. 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. We're going to be dead to a Boros Charm here because I'm going to activate this Loot House, but I think I need to activate this Loot House to win the game. Dead to Searing Blaze. So, of course, they drew Searing Blaze. It's the only reason to fetch, right? Yeah, I could beat. That's how the cookie crumbles. We were on the draw that game, and, like, the Eidolon kind of got under us. God, we'd have just put them in the ground. please look at my website. You can find tons of deck lists and archives up there. Lots of good information that I put out to answer a lot of your own questions. Find a YouTube playlist. Every one of my YouTube videos has a deck list that we've played in that video underneath it. Allows you to pinpoint exactly how a deck list has evolved as we played it on stream. Sure, we would have shuffled. We would have had a different assortment of random cards on top of our deck. This hand doesn't do enough. Not only is it 4 lands, none of which are utility lands, but also just doesn't have a threat in it. This hand's like not great, but it's reasonable. Rather than asking me to justify my statements to you, if you want to question a card that we're playing, do so in a specific and constructive manner. Say, I think this card could be bad because, and then articulate yourself. Explain your reasoning. Engage in a conversation. Don't make me explain things to you like you know... Don't make me explain things to you. And if you can't come up with the reason why something might be bad, that's probably because it's good. And if you can come up with the reason that something might be bad, maybe you're right and it's bad and we can all learn from each other. That's not even a Hearthstone thing. That's just like a TCG player thing. Like, I can't tell you the number of other streams I walk into or like watch that like I end up turning off because the entire stream is just the streamer sitting there just like validating every card choice that they've made to the people watching. My undergraduate degree had a minor in education, and I student taught high school for a semester, and I spent a couple of semesters teaching at colleges. Being a meme pays more than teaching college, though, so here I am. No idea. Only played 10 matches with the Rakdos deck. Don't really have a large enough sample size to be informed on like what's good, bad, or otherwise with it. Third land here is Aces. Would have preferred a utility land, but I'll take a third land in general. I think cards like Gitu Lava Runner and the 3-drop creature force you into a very specific role that you don't want to be in. They force you into only an aggressive role. And the reason why this deck is good is because it plays a lot of flexible modal cards that allow you to be aggressive in situations where you really need to be aggressive and allow you to be controlling in situations where you want to be controlling. Again, you want to tell me we should be playing a card, be specific, be constructive. The cards in this deck list are the cards that they are because I think they're good. It's actually worth noting that in that last match against Burn, if that Lighthouse had been a copy of Mutavault, we wouldn't have been dead. We wouldn't have been dead to that card that they have. Swift Spear, we wouldn't have been dead to the Searing Blaze. We would have been able to block for 2. Yeah, long stream today. We're currently heading towards hour 8. And we'll be going for another couple leagues after this. We've got Jeskai Saheeli coming up next, and then Shadow Burn. We might not get to Grixis Delver today. And Grixis Flare, we'll see where I'm at. If I want to go longer than 12 or not. One of the things I love about playing this archetype is that when I look back on a lot of my losses, it's very easy to go, I made this really small decision at this point that I could have made differently to give myself more percentage points in a lot of instances. Oh, this is unfortunate for me. So I gave them the ability to turn on their Fatal Push here at end of turn, which is kind of bad. There weren't any other creatures in the discard piles there, so I probably could have waited on the Abrade. Although I suppose if I wait on the Abrade, they could untap and then kill my Nimble Obstructionist and then eat that in response. So maybe it is right to go there. There's definitely ups and downs to both plays. Would love to cast an Opt. I like a land. Thing. This turns on another Fatal Push if they have it, but I'm definitely for killing this, firing up this, and smacking them for 5. This matchup's very close for these two archetypes. I think both decks are like 50% decks, right? So like the fact that like this is a close matchup makes a lot of sense. Two 50% decks have close matchups against each other. News at 11. I'm actually going to go ahead and just play this out, because if I draw another Burst Lightning, I'd like to be able to kick it. And I'd prefer not to have a land trapped in my hand if my opponent plays a Liliana the Veil. Mutavault's a very reasonable card. No, I think they were going to block the tracker to the Mutavault. What's a 50% deck? A 50% deck means that a deck is generically about 50% against the field. It's a deck that doesn't have a lot of really skewed matchups. It's just pretty even and allows you a lot of play in a lot of different places. Poor Obstructionist. We're technically winning this race here still, so they can't even ship this in, which is nice. Hey, Tribal Lightning Bolts, True Lightning Bolts. The Candyman can. Do 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 do. All right, got like 10 bolts in our deck. I think I just hang tight for now. I could bolt the tracker and then like attack with the Mutavault, but I think I'm just like playing to the out of like drawing 2 bolts here or 1 more bolt. Yeah, if this wasn't a Liliana matchup holding the land, I guess your Loot House makes a lot of sense. I'm generally high energy. About 8 hours is where I hit my second wind a lot of the time too. I have 1 Loot House and they have 4 Lilianas the Veil. I just let that resolve. Whoopsie. I'm going to cast this now because this way Burst Lightning's lethal if we draw it. I'd have been dead next turn regardless because of the Hissing Quagmire, so the Spell Snare Floop didn't matter. Flub. This is a matchup where you generally want most cards that play to the board. I like the extra Abrade as a removal spell. I like Entrancing Melody as a way to take Tarmogoyf. I prefer Remand to Spell Snare. While they have a lot of good Spell Snare targets, I think especially on the play, Remand is more reasonable because it draws a card. Again, when you look at these cards, you want to think about what the floor is on them, and the floor on Remand is higher than the floor on Spell Snare. Because when Spell Snare doesn't do anything, it's just a dead card, whereas Remand, when it's bad, it still replaces itself for 2 mana and buys us a little bit of tempo. Puts him on the back foot a touch. Yeah, I think this is fine. I'm a big fan and subscribe. If you watched my stream before, you know I very thoroughly subscribe to the school of thought of don't mulligan against discard decks whenever possible. But keep a snare or 2 in on the draw. Yeah, I'll probably bring in a couple of snares, bring the snares back in on the draw, trading out remands. So I elected to lead on Mutavault here because in the event that my opponent played a discard spell on 1, I'd probably fire up Mutavault and attack on 2. Since they're representing Fatal Push here, I'm not going to go ahead and do that though. Mutavault's pretty important. Mutavault and Snapcaster Mage aren't really optional. You need access to those cards to play this deck competitively. You can get by without the Scalding Tarns, like playing Shivan Reefs or other fetch lands or whatever, but the Mutavault and the Snapcaster Mage give the deck a lot of grind. Yeah, Mutavault turns Wizard Lightning into Lightning Strike in a pinch, which is nice. Their hand just, like, must be a bunch of Doom Blades, right? Snapcaster Mage, Red Kicker. 2-1. Pay red. Deal 3 damage to your opponent when you cast this spell. Deal. Resolves. So, like, I assume this is going to die here in, like, the worst possible way, but it does 3 damage, so, you know, sign me up. The question is, after they kill this, do I want to run Mutavault in? I probably do. If they have a Fatal Push, they have a Fatal Push, because if they don't, I get my 2 points in, and it's just great. Should we draw? All right, let's start with this, see where we go from there. Remand, that's a piece of candy. I'm going to keep that one for now. Play the Steam Vent tapped and pass the turn. The biggest problem with a deck like a white-red aggro deck, Sarah, is that, what's the word I'm searching for? Is that the anti-combo tools that white-red has access to generally leaves a lot to be desired, which means against decks like Storm and stuff like that, you basically have to race them, and those colors don't really have the tools to race those decks efficiently. Soul-Scar Mage, sign me up. So we do this, we Burst Lightning this, we hit them with Mutavault for 2. And again, like, you gotta kind of strike a balance between when you are sending your removal spells at their creatures and when you're sending them at the dome. In the kind of early to mid game like this, we're definitely kind of like in a control the board type state. While as we move to the later game, like you saw last game, we just like are sitting on lightning bolts as reach, hoping to peel them and finish the game out. This was a cut the line donation to play blue red again. Yeah, exactly, Sarah. The efficient black disruption is very, very good. This is a Kalitas. That's brutal. I'm going to wait on the lightning bolt for 2 reasons. One, if my opponent has a fatal push, I want to make sure I shrink this. I think they have a fatal push here. Yeah, that sucks. We're probably dead here. We just drew too many lands. We're on 6 lands with only 1 utility land. Yep. Comes the beat sometimes. It's a close game 1. It's like we had someone earlier who was asking about I always put a focus on this stream and talk about like when people come in here like, well, is this deck good? What's the record with it? And like, what's the record with a deck doesn't really tell the story of like, is the deck successful or cohesive or like what's going on with it, right? Because like in the first match we lost this league, well, we're 0-2. The first match in that game 3, we lost because we were basically in a spot where we were pretty firmly ahead, except if they ripped exactly Searing Blaze, well, they had no cards in hand, and they drew Searing Blaze, and then we died. And like those razor thin margins that happen back and forth, those aren't told when you're talking about just like, well, what was the record of the deck, right? Like there's a lot of things that go into like, well, there were just like razor thin margins throughout this whole thing, and with like a little bit better beats, instead of being, 3-2 in this league, we would have been 5-0 or 4-1, etc., etc. This hand just isn't good enough. Not only does it have too many lands in it, but it just like doesn't have a threat. If either of these 2 cards was like a 1 or 2 drop creature, I might consider keeping this, but it has too many lands and it doesn't have threats, so I'm gonna go ahead and mulligan. This hand is much, much better. But Jeff, you floated out. I've watched you play 3 whole games, Jeff. I'm convinced that you have too many lands, Jeff. Oh, Twitch chat. Oh, Twitch chat. Here, on the draw. I'm gonna keep Spell Snare on the draw. Card's real powerful. Oh, I guess I'm playing Delver on one. Tron. This hand's actually okay against Tron. I'm really sad that I topped the Spell Snare now, though. I got bad news for you. If you hate flooding and you hate screwing, Magic is not the game for you. Even if your deck is built perfectly, you're going to lose a bunch of games in Magic to flooding and screwing. That's how this game works. It has a bunch of variants baked into it by design. And you are never going to fix that in every deck. You're not. That's not how the game works. That's not how variance works. Opponents made a small sequencing mistake here. They definitely should have cracked their Chromatic Sphere before playing their land for the turn, because they could have drawn, a tower or whatever here, and then had Tron set up for the following turn. Like, another thing people really infrequently fail to evaluate correctly a lot of the time is that, some of these games, I always love when people just like have no grasp on like what flooding means, and they talk about how, oh, I lost this game because I flooded out and I died, and I look down at their board and like, well, they have 8 lands in play, but they drew they drew half their deck. It's like, well, you drew 8 lands and 30 cards. You actually didn't flood. In fact, you were below average for the number of lands that you drew that game. It's like, you didn't flood out. You just, like, played a long game of Magic, and there's a lot of lands in your deck. So, like, of course you're going to see a lot of lands when you play a long game of Magic. Yeah. What constitutes flooding, I think, is always a much better metric when you're looking at the proportions. Yeah, the ratios of, like, what number of lands you drew. Like, flooding out is when you have 7 lands and 14 cards in your deck that's only 1/3 lands, right? Because you have 50% of your cards have been lands and a third of your deck. So, fetch land plus Delver here. We get a pseudo scry here, so we get to look at the top card of our deck with Delver. I get to go, I would not like to draw that land, so I'm going to crack this fetch land here before I draw my card for the turn. Yeah, people, I agree with that. Magic's the type of game where if you don't want a loss to be your fault, there's 1,000 different reasons in most Magic games that you can point to why you lost this game of Magic other than I made a mistake. And it's one of the things that makes Magic really interesting and difficult to get better at, honestly, because if it's difficult to pinpoint like where you made the mistake, it can be hard to improve a lot of the time. Is Opt just better than Serum Visions now? Well, Serum Visions has never been good, but I think Opt is marginally better, yeah. I think especially in a deck like this that can play out at instant speed, that flexibility is important, but Modern's a format where you want your card that you're looking for now, not next turn. So the fact that Opt sees fewer cards but potentially gets you the card you actually want right now is a big deal. They're going to 12 here. So if our Delver would have flipped, they'd be at 8 already. Survey says, Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering. This does counter O-Stone, so we got that going for us. This does counter O-Stone. They're down to 2 cards in their hand here, too. So, and like, it's tough, too, because sometimes you do look at a game, and you can look back on it, and you can go, I'm pretty happy with all the decisions I made here, and my deck just kind of came up short, and I died. And like, that can definitely happen in Magic. Magic has variance in it, but I think there's both sides of the coin. I think there's people that both blame variance too often, and there's people that, like, can't look at it and like know that they're like, this Delver never flipped and we just killed them here. Got him. Don't mind me, just boarding in Tron cards. So, I go kind of back and forth. Why? Again, just, I'm not going to validate my decisions to you. Form a thought. Articulate yourself. I don't want Dispel. Talk about why the card you want me to play is good. And if you can form a good reason for why the card is good, maybe we should be playing it. We can have a discussion about it. And if you can't, maybe there's not a reason we should play it. No, I think Soul-Scar is actually very good here. Remember, this is a game that you win by killing your opponent. You get your opponent to 0. Soul-Scar Mage attacks for damage. You play it early, you bolt them, you push damage, you push damage, you push damage. End the game. I don't think Abrade is good enough on the draw. I think when Abrade has the ability to shatter maps on turn 2 on the play, it's like kind of passable. But honestly, I think I'd rather just have more Wizard Lightnings to kill my opponent. Again, just post-combat in these matchups, people really undervalue killing their opponent consistently, in my experience, when I talk to people. This hand is more than good. It's great. Diva, you're a special exception. Randy should be in this deck. All right, Delver, we be delving. How do I feel about Peak? I think Peak's just not worth the slot. I think if I wanted to play more cantrips than just... Oh, excuse me, my soda's catching up with me. If I wanted to play more cantrips than just Opt in this deck, I would play Thought Scour. I think Thought Scour is a card that fuels our Grim Lavamancers nicely. That feels good. Do. I knew that it would. Now do. It feels good. I'm not going to play the Alpine Moon here just yet. I have most of the bases covered if they have Natural Tron. And if they don't have Natural Tron, I'd like to negate an Ancient Stirrings or Sylvan Scrying here. Peak is Probe for non-Phyrexian mana, but it's also an instant. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and negate this. It's like try and keep them off Tron for a turn or two. Oh, that's so good for us. That's so good for us. So what am I doing now? I'm just casting Alpine Moon. So when you play Alpine Moon, you want to name the Tron piece that they don't currently have in play. Because remember, Alpine Moon's well designed, it doesn't screw people. So this turns whichever land you name into a rainbow land. So I want to make sure that I'm not giving them free colored mana. No, I don't want to Bash here. I want to opt at end of turn or Lightning Bolt, I think. I want to try and develop my game plan a little bit more. I think I'm going to opt because I wouldn't mind finding another threat. And this game's not guaranteed locked up. Like if we fumble and bumble a little bit here and like they have a Nature's Claim, we could die. There's the tower. So like if they go tower, they could like claim this at end of turn. So like don't count your chickens before they've hatched. You know, be conservative. The easiest way to lose a game is you think you can't lose and then they catch up and they kill you. I could also be resource efficient here and like activate Mutavault Lightning Strike them. Yeah, most of the time Isubus. And like even this game was a good example where I didn't even play Alpine Moon on 2 when they had 2 Tron lands just because like the assortment of spells in my hand dictated that it was fine not to. So if I Mutavault Lightning Strike them, they go to 11 and then next turn I attack for 5 plus this. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Okay, so let's activate this. Let's Lightning Strike you. Yeah, this deck is really sweet. It just plays really awesome games of Magic the Gathering. What about the Mutavault? Yeah, you could probably play Fumarole. Mutavault is really good. Actually, I'd play Fairy Conclave. If you don't have Mutavaults, I'd play Fairy Conclaves. Fairy Conclave's not even strictly worse. It's got a... What are we doing here? Yeah, Conclave. Conclave is the one. That's the answer. Conclave is the one. Isn't Threads of Disloyalty better than Entrancing Melody? So, Entrancing Melody takes 3 mana creatures. It flips your Delvers. It flips your Delvers. It gets snapped back. It doesn't die to Abrupt Decay. Doesn't die to random other things that kill Threads of Disloyalty. I think Threads of Disloyalty is very, very bad. I think it is much, much worse than Entrancing Melody, and that's why I play Entrancing Melody, for all of those reasons. Speaking of lots of reasons, thanks everyone for hanging out here today. I know there's a lot of different things you could be doing for lots of different reasons. You choose to spend part of your Friday here with us, TGIF. Hope everyone's having a great start to your weekend. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I'm a full-time streamer and content producer here on Twitch. I focus primarily on Magic the Gathering and Modern. I'm here playing Magic 30 plus hours a week. If you're enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm here because this is what I love doing, but my subscribers are the people that allow me to make this into a job and do it as often as I do it. Past subscribing, you can also support my stream by checking out some of my very wonderful sponsors. Cardsphere.com would love to help you turn some of your cards into other cards directed to their players. There's no haggling. They just take a 1% fee off the top. Silver Falcon 43. Thanks for sharing that Twitch Prime, sending your Bezo bucks this way this month. I know there's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch. Thanks for supporting mine. InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience using code Jeff12. You can save 12% on custom playmats, mousepads, binders, and bags with them. CoolStuffInc.com buys and sells a lot of cool stuff, including lots of TCG singles. Using code Jeff5, you can save 5% on Magic, Warhammer, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. And of course, this stream wouldn't be possible without viewers like Anaronix, Justin Nivik, and all of y'all out there. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. I really appreciate it. Remember, if you are enjoying the content, make sure you hit the follow button at the very least. Following the stream doesn't cost you anything, and it lets you know when I go live and with what. When I sign off later tonight, which will be a little bit later, we're going to play 2 or 3 more leagues yet, doing a nice long stream on today on a Friday. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel and my personal website as well. If you're looking for sweet modern decks, I'm going to plug myself here for a moment. My website has this deck list button on the top bar, and I've got lots of different decks on here that you can click in to any of these pages here and find not only my preferred deck list for this archetype, but also a YouTube playlist here that has all of the past times that I've played this deck on stream. So lots of great information on my website, lots of search and filter features to find exactly the type of deck that might tickle your fancy. Yeah, the Warhammer game's really sweet. The pre-built decks are pretty reasonable, and they have a lot of pretty decent cards in them too. I ended up buying all of the pre-built starter decks, and the cards that are in those decks definitely translate into the decks that feel better in the format. The Warhammer game is officially out in paper. It released in paper with Gen Con. It's still in closed beta on mobile. They're supposed to be having their official full release on mobile later this month. I've been playing their closed beta a bunch on my tablet in my off time, though. It's my number one non-Magic card game at the moment. Yeah, the pre-built decks lack some synergy, but I'm sure that's to give you incentive to, like, improve and change them, right? Goat Milk, thank you very much for the brand new Twitch Prime. Thanks for sharing that this way this month. I appreciate that. Drawing a Lightning Bolt here is a great start. Gives our Snapcaster Mage something to do, potentially. Island Mox Opal, probably some kind of ensnaring bridge deck. Honestly, I wonder if I'm supposed to just play Snapcaster Mage on 2 here. Do I still play any Hearthstone? A very little bit here and there. When the latest expansion released, it just, like, really hasn't held my attention. Alright, so do I want a Snap Bolt or do I want an Obstructionist? I probably want an Obstructionist, right? I hope their second land's a fetch and we just get them. Sword of the Meek. Alright, need to kill them ASAP. Don't mind me, just doing my thing. Ain't no thing, chicken wang. Sure. Looks like they stumbled and fumbled long enough that we're gonna kill them here. And you did. Yeah, actually, the last few times I have been playing Hearthstone, I bought a couple of the old single player adventures, and that's what I've been playing. Yeah, we played Nimble Obstructionist and a few other decks. I think there's probably Jeskai decks where it's reasonable, and I think it's pretty good in blue-white control. It's really sweet, Hackrab. There are some really, like, awesome decks on the website. The fan favorite section has just, like, tons of really sweet things in it. Alright, so this is a Rejection matchup. This is a Negate matchup. This is probably a Wizard's Retort matchup. This is definitely a Staticaster matchup. Even money, there are copies of War of Invention in their deck, so probably want Dispel. Burst Lightning and Grim Lavamancer probably leave a little bit to be desired. So we'll trim those. I need 4 more cuts here. There's 1 Wizard's Retort because I kind of wanted another Disdainful Stroke, but Disdainful Stroke is pseudo narrow, so I ended up making it Wizard's Retort instead. Yeah, so, like, what's the question? Basically, I think the question I need to ask myself is Remand or Wizard's Lightning worse here? Stroke counters were and Tezzeret, potentially. I don't know exactly how big they're going, is the issue. I could just coward split these. That's probably not unreasonable. Just like go 2 and 2. I'm gonna do that. No, I think they almost certainly have War of Invention in their deck with the 2 basic islands. I think Dispel's just like kind of a beating. Soul-Scar Mage in this matchup is a 1-drop. That's just gonna like come down on turn 1 and attack a bunch. Yeah, it is Hat Crab Zombie. If you watch some of the leagues with Bring to Kiki, we actually ended up wishing for that card a bunch just because we kept getting really stuck on lands. The deck is really mana hungry. So like 3 mana, go find a basic is like something you're willing to do sometimes. I think I want to hold up Dispel here because if my opponent rips a blue source, they can actually whir for something. Yeah, actually. So, if you'd like me to prioritize getting a sideboard guide up for a specific deck on my website for a $25 donation, I'll prioritize that as the next one. The next one I write. Usually I ask that you give me up to a week to get it done, but it'll with a week's notice and a $25 donation, I can prioritize getting that done. If there's a specific deck you would like to see a board guide for. I've played Bogles a few times before. I actually find Bogles kind of fun to play, but I'm also a terrible person. Do you also accept Chipotle donations? Chipotle is great. Yeah, I don't currently... I haven't really advertised that I'll prioritize writing guides for a certain price. So no, there's currently not a queue. This Remand's looking pretty good here. There might have been merit to bolting this in response. Decks that I have sideboard guides done for are linked on the deck list page on my website. So, like, if you want examples, Black-Green Rock, Mardu Pyromancer, and Blue-Red Tempo off the top of my head have sideboard guides linked on their deck list pages. At some point, I'm slowly working my way around to all of them. So not everything on the list on the site has a board guide, but eventually they all will. This game feels pretty locked up here. Honestly, I might just like bolt this Memnite here. Just like cuts them off a mana rate. Gets me my prowess trigger. Okay. I'm gonna use my time walk button on that one. Opt deal a damage. Don't mind if it does. Opt deal a damage. Don't mind if it does. Oh, what a tilt. What a tilt. I got Negate up though. It's probably good. Remember, if you're new to the stream, please be specific of the stream rules. Don't ask me to justify my card choices to you. Form coherent thoughts. Make justifications to me. If you think a card we're playing is better, a card we're not playing is better than something we're playing, make an argument. Start a discussion. Be like, this card is better because, and then state your reasons. And then we can engage and discuss about it. So now we're battling back to 2 and 2 here. After some extra close ones. This is, people often ask, I'm someone who plays a lot of Modern, what my favorite Modern deck is. It is 10 out of 10, this deck list. Just love the way this deck plays Magic. Because it's interactive when it needs to be interactive, and when being interactive isn't good, it's able to form this kind of burn-style linear game plan, which is nice. Yeah, Electrolyze is too expensive. That's a good way to say it. Electrolyze is bad because it's expensive. That's a great way to ask a question and be constructive about it. Captain Cobb, thank you for the 5 months. One more to my wooden sword. Can I get a timeout as a boot? I got you. Thank you for the continued support. How much to never see Tempo again? I can't believe you're enjoying your games. What's going on, Inner? Yeah, I think 3's the number of Soul-Scar Mage that I like. I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, to answer the Electrolyze question, I think it's just too much mana. I think there's only, I talk, a lot on the stream about how Modern's really about resource efficiency and tempo, and Electrolyze is just not resource efficient. Full Metal Adept, thanks for re-upping for the 15th month in a row. I appreciate that. Welcome. That's fine, Ketchup. My opponent in the top 8 was a good dude, and they split with me, so we both ended up making the same amount of money, God bless. And Real Driver, thank you for the brand new Prime support. Welcome. Thanks for shipping your $1 dues towards my channel this month. I deserve it. Poor Wrath. I think if you're in a format if you don't expect Spell Snare or Spell Pierce to be good, then replacing that 1 mana counter that I have with something else is very reasonable. Nest Invader, Aether Vial. Okay, you've piqued my interest. I would play a different deck if I was expecting to play against Bogles with this deck in paper. Okay, I think the Bogles matchup is really rancid. The reason why the Bogles matchup is bad is because, generally speaking, you can't prioritize killing them because they play Leyline of Sanctity. I think I'm just going to pass here. Depending on what they do, these Lightning Bolts are probably reserved for just doming them. There could be an argument for killing a bird here. Getting Decade's a big deal. Not being able to snap it back's a big deal. You entrancing Melody Mantis Riders more than you think. You snap back entrancing Melody more than you think. I'm just gonna let this pass, I think. They have access to 6 mana. They have access to 5 mana. 3, 4, 5. If they attack with this Nest Invader, I'm going to kill the bird and block. Put a stop on my turn. Now that they missed a land drop, I might kill this bird. Oh, Magic. I'm going to attack with Soul-Scar Mage here since I have double Lightning Bolt in hand. Feel like whatever they can put in on 2, this thing's going to be able to win the fight with double Bolt backup. Timeouts on Twitch are just a temporary chat ban. Lasts for 10 minutes. That's why it's a joke on the channel. For people that are new to the channel, the reason why people ask for timeouts is because when I give people timeouts for not following the stream rules, there have been lots of people over the years that have acted like this is the worst possible thing that could ever happen to them. All right, so they are playing Intruder Alarm combo here with the Steward. Thankfully, I have this Lightning Bolt to kill this in response should they have Intruder Alarm here. I'm going to kill this in response. No reason to let them draw a bunch of cards. This makes my Delver flips a little bit less likely next turn, but I think this is a good line. So the Intruder alarm says whenever a creature enters play, you untap all creatures. And this thing taps to put a creature into play. So this plus Intruder alarm generates infinite creatures. So if my Delver doesn't flip on the first card, I'm gonna opt past it to try and make it flip. Over halfway to a Twitch, baby, and it's all yours. Distinction, thank you for the 5-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. If you're even marginally lucky, this deck is much better. And if your Delvers act like mine, it's really not particularly good. Oh, magic. Should have just drawn the lighthouse, right? I've been such a fool, chat. I'm such a fool. We're gonna hold the bolt up here to kill this in case they cast Intruder Alarm, because obviously I can't deal with infinite things. But if they don't cast Intruder Alarm to go infinite, I'm gonna go ahead and just flash in Nimble Obstructionist at end of turn here. So that way, hopefully we can flip the Delvers and then 9 them. We've played the opponent's deck on stream before. Research Intruder Alarm combo on my YouTube. Okay, so they have Court of Calling. I think I just let this happen. I think I just let this happen. All right, guys, you got one more chance to try and flip. You've got one more chance to try and flip. This is it. You're dead. You're done. I guess I have Lightning Bolt, but it would be really, really nice, guys, if you could just, like, get up and flip. It is turn 5. I believe in you. Even after the prep talk, chat, just, like, stone cold nuttin'. Stone cold nuttin'. Oh, I guess Aether Vial is scary here. Of course, you have a good 3-drop. Oh, at least we've got, what does this give me? 5/1/1 red goblin creature tokens. All right, they killed Mutavault at least. That's good for us. Sure. All right, if we flip to a bolt, we can still have a chance here. Okie doke. So, if I attack with everything... Actually, I don't even want to attack with everything, right? Yeah, I'm just going to attack with these 3, these 4. And I'm going to bolt the Hunted Phantasm to shrink it. I think that's the line. Might just leave these friendos back to play some defense here. This is a good block from the opponent. Just like giving me the option to like kill something or shrink something that they care about, or like gobble these up. If the opponent draws as poorly as we have this game, we have a chance. There are a lot of mana creatures in their deck. We're just dead to that, right? So these two go infinite with each other. Yep, you got me. Staticaster's great. It's just like a all Doom Blades on deck matchup. Just like bring in all your things that kill creatures. Then probably like bring in a Dispel for like tagging their Court of Callings. Actually, Negate's probably better because it stops Intruder Alarm as well. Yeah, that seems fine. Let's do it. No, that was game one. The tokens came from my opponent's Hunted Phantasm. You could maybe argue that I messed up there because I should have, if I attacked with the 5/1/1s, I could have beaten Intruder Alarm by drawing a Bolt the following turn. No, I think the correct way to approach this matchup is just kill all their stuff. While Spell Snare does have spots where it's going to be very good, it's also going to have spots where it just doesn't do anything. So I'd much rather just, like, kill all their things. Magic's a low variance game. This hand is very good. Am I skipping my turn one play to not play Delver? I don't think so. I think I win this game by getting Delver down on the play. That's like the actual worst card to have on top of our deck, because not only does it not flip Delver, but it's also like not a land. So that was the worst possible outcome there. No Delver flip, no second land. Just like any non-creature spell or land was a fine draw there. They can come say hi if they want, Christy. What's going on, Moose Juice? Thank you for the 4-month 3 subscription there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. That's just how the cookie crumbles, chat. I'm gonna try and hit a red source and concede if we don't. And I could have just lightning bolted there, but I think we need to hit a land there to have a really competitive game. You wanna come say hi?
What's blueberries down here?
Dad was eating the blueberries today. Come here.
Why was eating them?
I was eating them because I was hungry. How was school today?
What is those?
What is what?
What is those?
That's a blueberry.
What is those?
Oh, that's a piece of paper. Can you say hi to the internet?
Hi,
Hi who?
hi, Anna.
Internet. Internet. That's a big...
What are those cards?
Those are cards, yep. Those were cards Dad played with when he was a kid. Not quite as small as you, but when he was a kid.
I was kid.
No, you are a kid. You're a kid right now.
I'm a big kid.
You are a big kid. You're huge.
Why are these sticking? Why are these sticking?
So,
Daddy, why these sticking? Why these sticking?
yep, we'll do enter.
Dad, why these sticking?
They're sticky notes.
Anner, can you message me on Twitter? I think I have a better version of this deck. I'm not a fan of that build of Devoted Company.
I don't mean do that.
Okay, can you go back upstairs with Mama?
I want to find these.
Take your sticky notes. Love you, bud.
Do you want a pen?
All right, so you know we went 4-1 last time. We went 2-3 today. This is card for card the 75 I would play with this deck. I think into a Testament weekend. Thank you very much for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome.
Oh, I want that one.
Okay. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
I think in the first burn matchup that we lost, it was really pretty close, and if they hadn't ripped that Searing Blaze, we would have been potentially in the game. And that last matchup was pretty unfortunate. Unfortunately, there's a lot of games of Magic that you just like lose that you don't really have any control over, and that's how that last one kind of played out. Pretty unfortunate. Delver reveals in the first game, and then just like brick and die on lands in the second. What's going on, Ecstasy? As far as the one card, I guess I'm not 100% certain on. This Lighthouse might be better as Mutavault. The burn matchup that we lost in the first round, I think we probably would have stabilized if this Desolate Lighthouse had been a Mutavault instead. You jump on the timeout train, of course, Moldy Toast. I got you. So if you want a little bit of conservativeness, play 3 Mutavaults, but I like the rest of the spells in this build. I think the 3 Soul-Scar Mages have been very reasonable. All right, so we've got Don't Go Anywhere. We've been going